All right, it's time for the final review of 2023. And what better way to end it with probably one of the biggest surprises for me of the year, and that is the Timothy Chalamet led Wonka, a movie that I was really on the fence about seeing and decided to check it out anyways. And boy, was I surprised with this film. It is better than I expected. It was a great way to end the year off on a pretty happy and sugary note. It is a musical uh, where it's pretty much the upbringings and the origin story of Willy Wonka before the chocolate factory, before the Oompa Loompa slaves, workers. It is a very fun tale brought to you by the director of Paddington, and honestly, it's got that Paddington charm that I've heard so much about. And I must agree, it's a very sweet movie. It's an interesting watch. But that's enough about the story. Let's get into some more further details. I will give a hand grenade score for the story, as it is a pretty interesting telling of Willy Wonka. Something that has really been missing, because the Johnny Depp, Tim Burton, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was an absolute horror show. Or sorry, I think it was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Johnny Depp one. But it literally could play out as a horror movie. Honestly, that movie is terrifying. But this was a fun, charming take on the character again, and I really enjoyed that. Now let's talk about the cinematic aspect of it all. And it's a musical. The music is actually pretty good, but the main issue with it is that I don't think Timothy Chalamet really has the singing chops needed to have carried this film as successfully as it could have been. Like, don't get me wrong, it was a fine picture. It was great for what it was, but I do think that Timothy Chalamet's singing capabilities did hold it back a bit. But the music was still really good. Other than that, I really enjoyed the musical numbers. I enjoyed the set pieces. I enjoyed their little takes, their own takes on the classic Willy Wonka songs, and it was just a fun ride. It was very enjoyable. The theater was packed, and everyone was enjoying themselves with this cinematic experience, which I must say makes this being the last movie so much more enjoyable, as I saw it with a packed theater and some buddies who I haven't seen in a long, long time. It was great. A great experience for the final movie I saw in 2023. So with all of that, you already know where the experience expectations thing is going to go, because I had to share it to further discuss why the cinematic aspect of this film was so good. Both would be a hand grenade score. Now let's talk about the direction that Paul King took with this film, which is really good. It's good, it's well paced, and nothing really feels rushed. I do like how the musical scenes were built. They were nice and very well shot. So I'll give him a hand grenade score there as well. Now, as mentioned earlier, now it's time for the actors. And as mentioned earlier, Timothy Chalamet does a great job when he is performing as Willy Wonka with that charm and wit. But, as I mentioned, he doesn't really have the singing chops for what they needed here. But it was still a great overall performance from Timothy. I must also say that Hugh Grant has a really fun little performance in this film, and the whole cast does a great job with what they are given. And honestly, the supporting cast kind of carries the film a little more than the rest of it. There is a nice little running joke in the movie that happens when Willy Wonka needs a certain type of milk, so they break into the zoo, and it was really fun to see that little joke pay off at the end. In my opinion, it was the best joke of the movie, because it's just something so small and dumb that just made the whole experience so much better. But yeah, how shall I say this? Wonka, I am going to give it a hand grenade score just because a Hot Pocket score feels a little inappropriate for a movie all about sweets. But it is a very enjoyable film. I had a lot of fun with this. My friend who wasn't really looking forward to seeing it, I only convinced them to see it because it was a free ticket. And they ended up enjoying it so much more than they thought they would have. And that made it even better and more fun. But yeah, enjoy the final review of 2023. If all goes well, tomorrow we will have my end of year's rankings. I am putting a lot of effort into it, so I hope you stick around to check that one out. But if you're wanting to check that one out, subscribe so you don't miss that next video, and subscribe so you don't miss any more of my reviews. This next year is going to be crazy. But leave a like if you enjoyed the review, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.